Welcome to Idea Citizen. Today we're speaking with Marco Giovannoli about life after stroke. I have my personal experience with stroke as the daughter of a stroke. Maybe start off by saying, why are you the right person to speak on this topic?
Yes, so Jackie, nice to meet you. My name is Marco Giovannoli. I'm Italian and I've been living in the UAE, in Abu Dhabi, for the last 12 years. I'm an aeronautical engineer working for a major airline here in the UAE, and I've been always an avid ultra runner, desert runner. Until 2 years ago, while at the end of a 10-kilometer run here in the desert here in Abu Dhabi, I felt sick. I fell on the ground and actually I got a stroke. Honestly, I never knew what stroke was until the day today I think the only things I remember, the most important things I remember, calling my girlfriend, say, where is my right arm? Because I couldn't feel any on my right side of my body. And after,
Looking
yes,
back now, do you see the signs now in retrospect?
well, actually, last Friday I went to meet the doctor that they did the procedure for me, that they removed my stroke that morning. Was the 8th of September the 22. And he told me something. The evening before, I felt really tired and I did a headache pain here in my neck, in my left side of the neck. He told me probably I had basically artery dissection, basically my artery broke here in the neck. He said probably it was the time the artery start breaking, was the time that evening. And after what
Interesting.
happened, during the night, continued, the next day I went to run, my blood pressure went up, and probably that's when my artery basically broke. I created this blood clot in my brain here. I had blood
Right.
clot here just behind my ear. So honestly, I didn't know what stroke was. Actually, the first year, the time here, I was from the paramedic came to support, came for the rest. They said, but you have a stroke. Honestly, today I'm still struggling with the science because for me, I don't know, just a fast pace. I built the science after the stroke, but the day
Right.
before I don't read it.
No, it's
And
interesting
then
you say that.
change this one. So probably I don't really can see the science. Going back, probably I didn't want to go to run that morning after I say, guys, let's go to run. So it's going to be I'll be go good that day. And after so I went to run, although I should not have gone.
It's interesting because I mean you're speaking to a few points. Like you're a runner, so and you look healthy. I mean, I don't know what you look like then, and so I anticipate you had like a healthy lifestyle. So sometimes it just highlights the point that strokes, yes, there are things that can impact your chances of getting a stroke, and then there's also just things that it just might be your lucky day where you get a stroke, and it just no matter what you would have done any differently, it would have happened. And if I may share my own personal experience, I was actually with my dad when he was having his stroke, and I didn't recognize it either. Granted, I was also, I think I was just out of college, so I was 20 years old, and my dad actually came up to me and he's like Jacqueline, he's like, I can't open this bottle, and he also speaks with an accent and this and that, and I was like, I was like, how this water bottle? I was like, why can't you open this water bottle? It makes no sense to me. And honestly, I thought that because he had been hanging out with some of his friends earlier, I was like, maybe he had a little bit too much to drink. I don't understand. It was a completely different experience. I didn't think it was that. And we only found out what it was until the next day. And then now 20 some years later, just that entire experience and what that life has looked like for him, it's been you know a lot more about strokes after the fact than you do before the fact. I think that's what that's highlighting for both of us.
They say 90% of the stroke could be prevented. So there's still the 10% that you will never be able to prevent because you don't know why they're happening.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. What does mental and emotion, what has been your experience just generally in recovery? Like when, let's say, maybe day one when when one of your physicians came up to you and told you, like, oh, you had a stroke or you've been having strokes or something, like, what was your reality there? What did you think?
Well, I expect this. So I don't have much recollection the first few days. Let's say whenever I was able to, because I spent 1 week at ICU and after I was moved to a normal stroke ward. There, as soon as I got in my sense, the first things I start questioning, why myself? Why me? Why happened to
Mm-hmm.
me? What did I do
Yeah.
wrong? Why me? So basically, at that moment, the stroke basically stole from you your identity. Whatever you
Yeah.
were the day before or whatever 2, 3 days before is gone. Now you are facing yourself. You look at your body. Half of your body may not work. At that time, I could not even speak at that time. Took
Wow.
me like a week to be able to start speaking properly. I say in a month's time, I was able to speak properly, but at that time, my right side did not move at all, although even now it doesn't move much. So basically, the first thing is the stroke takes out everything that you know. Whatever you know of yourself is gone, gone.
Mm-hmm.
In 1 second, stroke, blood clot, your brain doesn't get any oxygen. Alas, you're done. Wherever you were, you are not anymore. Now, if you're lucky, there are people actually they can recover quite fast. Other people no. In my case, I created some mind map because when I was there, because I in 1 month in October I was supposed to run Budapest Marathon.
See.
Yes, so I say 15 days I will fully recover. I'll go out and do my go back life. It didn't happen. So after 15 days, I say 1 month I will be fully recovered and I will go out. Now 1 month passed, not full recovery. I said okay, 3 months done, fully recovered. No recovery at all. I said
I
okay.
love these goals.
Right, okay, 6 months, because in rehabilitation, they will tell you that they call it the golden period of rehabilitation, where they say within the 6 months, you do the most of your recovery. And after that, they slow down. So I say, okay, 6 months, I lost. I got fully recovery. Did not happen as well, 6 months. I was 6 months, I was already working with limp because I have a little bit of spasticity of foot drop, but my right hand and my right arm were not working. So I
Mm-hmm.
said, okay, at that moment I felt completely lost. Whatever I knew, I go back to run, nothing. Nothing was there. So I had also issue with the work because I also wanted to go back to work, and at that I completely felt really lost. So there I get here in depression because I say, what I'm going to do now?
Mm-hmm.
So there, at certain point, I tried to change. Say either I go down in the rabbit hole where I don't want to go. I need to all have to have change what's going to happen in my life. So one evening I was talking with my girlfriend, my partner in life, and I was crying to her. And she told me gently, say, pray, Marco, start praying and believe that the life is going to be good for you, because life doesn't happen to you, but happen for you. And from there, I start doing a lot of meditation, mindfulness with myself. I do a lot of therapy as well. And I start trying to change the way I see life. And from there, I completely change the way I'm living. And from there,
So
actually, I realized how important the mental, how our brain can control our body. And I believe
right.
that is our mind is the our control. And from there, I start moving on. And that was the starting point. After 6 months of my stroke, that was my big turning point in my life.
I assume. I mean, I feel like there's probably a part of it that's, your life prior stroke and then your life after stroke. It's like there's just this definitive moment that it's like everything's changed. Everything, like the ability, your body's way ability to move. I don't know if this as well, but like maybe your brain's ability to process information as watching with my dad. Like the day the stroke happened, or at least the person that he was before the stroke and after the stroke, in our case, was incredibly different. There's of course like the physical components as well to it, but just personality wise, it's a different person. And I've done a little bit of research on that as well. And so hopefully that's minimal in most cases. But like I would say in our case, I don't know if there was a big focus on the mental health component of it. When you started focusing on at least your mental and emotional health, like what did you first tap into, and what did you find? Was there anything particular that helped you more than other things?
Well, like you said, luckily I did not have any cognitive issue. My brain was completely sharp. Honestly, my brain can hopefully help me because after 5 months I was able to go back to work, my old job, because I had
I think
only
that's
physical disability.
fantastic. That's fantastic
Yeah,
that you were able to go back to work. My dad wasn't, so that's amazing.
yeah. So because I had only physical disabilities, so they say okay. I work from an airline, so they sent me to the medical checkup. But they told me okay, you are allowed to go back to your office work. I work in the
Hmm.
office. Yes. So I started looking every aspect of the medical. I started looking at how the brain affects our cognitive function, our emotion, how it affect our emotion. Because, like you said, a lot of people can completely change character after a stroke. There have been cases studies as well where people completely change the mood. Honestly,
Oh,
my mood,
yeah.
I wasn't so positive after the stroke. I become really positive because
Can
I
you say
want
that
to
one
see
more?
life.
Wait, can I? Because I didn't hear you properly. So you said, what changed your mood? How did it change?
I was not really positive before the stroke. I become really positive after the stroke because
Wow.
nowadays I see life as the best things that ever happened to me. I say I praise every day the doctors to save my life, and I
Hmm.
have a new life. And every day I enjoy my life. I want to live every day as my last day of the life. I don't want to make any long-term planning. I want to live every day as a good day because I like life after stroke is still a beautiful life.
Yeah, yeah. My dad, we joke. One of his friends said for his situation that he had a funny stroke, and because after the stroke he can't take anything seriously. Everything's a joke. Everything's just fun. And we're like, what is like? Who is like? Are you the class clown came out, and I was like, where has this person been? This is it's kind of fun.
Now, actually, there is one condition. Basically, the stroke bring you the mood at the extreme. Either you can become really sad. A lot of people become really sad. A lot of people move to the other spectrum. They become really fun. They like jokes, life every
Yes.
time, laugh every time. They are basically their condition because the stroke affects you, the brain, it affects you. Depends on the area have affected you, may change also your mood. People become really grumpy. Some people become really happy. Some people become really joyful. Some people laugh, someone cries.
In terms of your community, was there anything particular that was helpful, like friends and family, like immediately or even today? Was there anything in particular that people, how they showed up for you that really helped you in your recovery?
Yes, actually, I'm lucky. I had friends and colleagues that came to beside me from the moment that the stroke happened to me. From the morning that the stroke, I was at the hospital. Everyone was with me, and from the day they never left my side. Actually, they are really support with me, and actually helped me a lot also to reconnect to childhood friend for the 30 years as well.
Mm,
So I have to say thank you to all of them because they really helped me in my process and every day they help me, basically.
yeah. It makes you happy to see people you love and that people care. And it also kind of like, it kind of puts things into perspective of what's important.
Yes, so you have to, when you get something like this, you start looking at the life a different perspective. You start, okay, what is really important, what is not important anymore.
Yeah.
Because at the moment there, let's say you have two life. You discover this important second life when you have just lost the first one.
Yeah.
So, so you start making, okay, you have to make your choice in life. You see what the people really count, what really what matters for you. Because you need to find a new perspective, you have to find your new self in life.
You mentioned praying. Was faith a big part of at least your life prior to your stroke, or have you found a relationship with faith afterwards? Or
Before the stroke was honestly no, not much, far away. But after the stroke, I say I felt that you have to find the connection because something happens in life. We
Mhm.
don't know why things happen in life. We don't know. We don't control what's happened. So because I cannot control everything, I need to believe someone else is making the plan for me.
Mhm.
I also believe all things that happen to me, let's say all the advocacy, all the people that I met, was for a reason. Someone decided the day that I was despair my life, someone, let's say whatever it was, God, whichever the color, the faith, whatever it is,
Yeah. Yeah.
decide that my day I was to be saved because I had a different purpose in life.
I love your perspective there. I have to say, I love that you know, the way you say that you're like, it was the day that you were saved, not so much that like your life, was dramatically changed, or, I mean, which, and both things are true. What a wonderful way to think about it. And, have like, what a great perspective.
Yes, honestly, the doctors and someone else saved my life because otherwise today I would not be speaking with you. If my friends, they call right away the medical support. The medical support tracks me to the hospital, and the doctor now I'll tell you some the story. So Friday I went to speak with the doctor, did the procedure on me.
Hmm.
They did mechanical thrombectomy to remove the clot on my head. So he started operating me after 2 hours. He say he was a little bit shocked, he was a little tired. They say, okay, I need to get a pause. Stop. So he say, walk out of the operating room, took a glass of water, and start saying, okay. I say, I'm young. I thought I was young. So he say, okay, I cannot let it go. Say, he told me if I was 80 years old, say I would have left me like this on the operating theater. Well, I say, you are young. I say, okay, let me go and try again to save him his
Hmm.
life.
Right.
So he say, okay, he went back. He say, he tried another hour and he was able to remove the blood clot. He did not restore 100% the blood flow to my brain, but he restored to a level like 70%. I thought, okay, it's good enough for me to go on with my life.
Hmm.
Then the day someone really saved my life. Because
Yeah.
otherwise, if that not that someone even, scientist even push the doctor to say, okay, let me take a pause, relax, let me rest, let's regain energy, let me go back and try to save this guy's life.
No, you're like, thank you for the encouragement. Whatever happened, you're here. In terms of the resources available to you, because my head goes a little bit to stroke advocacy, and I personally found that, there's different things that get a lot of attention. I find that there's a lot of attention towards cancer. I think there's a lot of attention towards like heart disease. I don't find that there's a lot of support towards strokes, and I don't know why it doesn't seem like as popular of a condition to get behind and support. But correct me if I'm wrong. Do you feel like there's resources, and I guess, are the resources available, and is there the funding available to increase the visibility of stroke awareness?
Actually, the other day I was thinking about the same things. Now, one out of four people will have a stroke in their life. So means you
One
have
out of four?
25% out of four, their life.
Is that even
At 20,
possible?
statistically speaking, 20, you have 25% to draw the short throw in the lottery of life.
The only so is it just okay, because that sounds like an obscene amount of the population, like obscene amount of the, are people walking around that have strokes that don't realize they had strokes? Is that what we're saying here?
As well, there are a lot of cases where people have a stroke and they don't know. Because also they are not all strokes are the same. There is stroke, but there is also transient stroke, like they call TBA. That's a
What is it?
they call it transient brain injury. It's like a mild stroke. A stroke, there
Hmm.
are many strokes. They are not all the same, the strokes. So I agree
And
with
do those
you
have any
because,
impacts? Like, would somebody,
yeah, people
like,
do
would
not have
somebody?
an impact. They
Okay.
tell me some old people, basically they live with a blood clot and they will not have any impact in their life. They will go on
Okay.
just with their life. Even younger people. And I agree with you because if you consider you are at least 14 million people having a stroke every year compared to breast cancer where they have like 2.3 million per year, statistically speaking.
Okay.
October, everyone speaks about breast cancer awareness. Stroke is always recorded, reminded the 29th of October when is the World Stroke Day.
Mm.
Before and after, nobody cares about stroke.
At least there's a day potentially to get more information out. And
Yeah,
actually,
there
I
is.
didn't know there was a day, and it's encouraging to me that, at least, if anything, like my role in at least building awareness around it, because I've seen those campaigns where it's like, whatever the signs are of a stroke and everything, but like once you know and you see that in somebody, you can ultimately save a life.
Yes, so probably cancer probably get the mainstream because probably is not more common. Actually, stroke is more common. But probably again, depends. Probably you need to have people that really are the one in command. Because probably it's easier to get. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. This is a question that I have myself. I could not understand why There
Yeah.
is not much attention about stroke, and also the funding is much less for stroke compared to what is breast cancer or any cancer and treatment and awareness session. It's very difficult. We had the World Stroke Congress every year, end of October. Actually, happened 3 weeks ago, from 23rd, 26th of October. Happened here in Abu Dhabi. I was there, but I bring my living experience as stroke survivor as part of the World Stroke Organization support. And out of the 3 days, and nothing else. Now in the US, May is World Stroke Month, but it's all in the US. The rest of the world, stroke is something that happens and you have to live with.
Mm.
And actually, I have to say there is probably much more for stroke awareness than a stroke life after stroke. Because after you get a stroke, okay, you get awareness, doctors save life, we are all happy, but we survive a lot thanks to the doctors. But life after stroke is something different. And there where the issue starts, because not everyone has the capability, accessibility to healthcare, to have a good support. Not everyone has this capability, honestly. So life after stroke is even worse than prevention of stroke. Stroke already has less visibility than cancer. But between pre-stroke and after stroke, pre-stroke at the most, after the stroke is left always behind. Even at the Congress, everyone speaks about the pre-stroke prevention, but very limited life after stroke.
I didn't even consider it until this conversation. Do you like for your life after like can like what kind of did you lose mobility in part of your body? Like you mentioned that you couldn't speak. Were you able to eat and swallow, or was that impacted?
The swallow was okay. I could not speak at the beginning. Took me probably a month to be able to speak. After a few weeks, I was able to speak a little bit of words. Slowly, I built up because the muscle here on the right side, they were weak. Actually, they're still
Right.
weak. You can see when I speak, sometimes I miss some words.
It's very minor though.
It's very minor.
I
Yeah,
was looking at your lips. I think you've done very well in your recovery. So, I mean, everybody that's just listening to this, Marco, I mean, if you were to just see him walking down the street, at least based on my assessment here, I would never imagine that you were a stroke survivor or that you had gone through like this type of an experience. And even through like maybe like an inconsequential little, good morning, or like, you wouldn't know. You really wouldn't know. But with a little, because I also know what to look for to some degree, like speaking to you, like I see a little bit, like there's a little bit of difference in like your lip movement from side to side, but it's incredibly minor. Do you have any paralysis on your body after the fact?
Yes, my right hand doesn't work. It's completely closed. It's actually closed, my right hand. And my I can walk, but I have a limp because I have foot drop, foot immersion. So I
Can you
walk
say
immediately.
Mediten? You said it's closed. What's closed exactly? Your hand?
Basically, my hand is closed because
Your hand is closed.
my muscle are so the tone of my muscle is really high, so
Yeah.
I cannot open my hand.
No, my dad has that as well. His hand, his got whatever like the clubbed hand from it. Yeah, same experience. Okay, so maybe
Yeah,
you would
same.
be able to notice.
Yeah. Also, I walk with a limp because I cannot control my muscle in my legs are really tight as well. Also
Hmm.
because I foot drop basically point down. I cannot control my foot, my ankle, no control at all. No
Hmm.
control the toe, nothing. So I walk with a limp because I've developed a compensatory strategy to walk, and that's one you can see. If you see me on the middle of the road, you will see that the stroke. At least I have something on my right leg.
Yeah, yeah. So after stroke, in terms of managing your stroke and the symptoms, um, is there, did you do anything differently after the fact to help your recovery to live a better life with a stroke?
Well, definitely life changed. Honestly, I could not run anymore. I can only walk
Hmm.
now. I'm a walker now. I'm not a runner anymore. I work only with my left hand. My right hand doesn't work, so I have to adapt all my screens, my mouse, my computer, my screens, my phone, everything only with what
Let's
the left
pause there real
hand.
quick. If
Yeah.
is there, do
Yes.
you feel like there's enough? Is there techno? Do you feel like there's enough robust technology to support like a one-handed world?
There are, there is, but they're still really expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Like I gave you an example. You have like one hand keyboard. You can because you can program some control, two, three key at the same time, but they are like cost like $1,000. The good
Mm.
one.
Yeah.
So again, fact you and also the society does not help because you still have a lot of limitation because you cannot access. A lot of people can access a lot of therapies because it's too expensive. Even
Mm-hmm.
adaptation like the keyboard. I mean, I bought a very cheap keyboard for $20, and I adapted. I got used to type with only the left hand. I go.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a good one, you can pay up to one thousand
Yeah.
dollars if you want to buy. Yeah. So I like to type a lot because also my speech. So I sometimes I'm not confident to use the speech detector because I
Mm-hmm.
feel that they will not understand me properly. Although you can
Mm-hmm.
train it, you can train. You
Yeah.
will learn you the way you speak. But so I prefer to type than speak at time being. And definitely I change a lot because I'm an engineer. So
Right.
I try to adapt to everything. So everything I see because I believe that it's true that they say that necessity is the mother of all invention. And I can tell you it's
Mm-hmm.
true. Because when you cannot do something, you find the way you want to find the way to do it.
Yeah. You came into it with your engineer
Yeah,
mindset. You're like, let me A/B
yeah,
test this. Let's see what
yeah.
options we have.
Even for my rehabilitation, I do the same. Okay, they give you some exercise. They give you okay. Let's see. And I always looking for okay. Let me find the solution to whatever. Could be
Mm-hmm.
a research, a new tool. Let me find the way I can do the tool myself. I can ask my colleagues to help me because I having only one hand, cannot do much.
Yeah.
So wherever I cannot do, I ask some help. I always looking for to adapt also the way I need to recover. Yes, we have to adapt to life. It's different. Maybe like I told you, I was a runner. I became a walker. I
Mm-hmm.
was started I was the right hand. I become left hand. Although I cannot write because write is very difficult. Learning to write again is very difficult. I can write like
Interesting.
with in capital letters, but very bad. Really bad writing.
I didn't even consider that. I didn't. I mean, and granted, I'm thinking about the amount of writing I do on a day-to-day basis. It's like my signature on a credit card receipt, and then maybe some notes. But I mean, it is nice to have both hands, and it's nice to have your dominant hand available.
Feel like you said, I had to learn how to do my signature with the left hand. I had to struggle to get the bank to change my signature from the original my right hand to my left hand. I had to go to
Hmm.
explain. I say, guys, I had the stroke. I showed them my invalidity card. They say, guys, I cannot write.
Yeah.
I will always say every check from my go on because I cannot write as before. So
Right.
then after a week of fighting, I was able to get I was allowed to put my signature with my left hand.
That's exhausting though. Like in addition to already dealing with like, hey, my own recovery, now I have to deal with the bank and everything. And it just there's all these things that people don't consider that, play into the recovery process. And I mean, my brother and I, we work with getting our dad's resources for our father with because he's now officially he's considered handicap and handicap placards and everything. And those things are incredibly helpful and have increased and improved his quality of life. Although I also will say, if you don't have your community, or if you don't have a community of, I don't know how to say, able-bodied people, that might not be the right language to use. It's confusing for us, and we didn't have strokes, and we are significantly younger than our father, and we have two hands, and all these other things that I'm like, if somebody doesn't have those resources available to them or a community to help them out, it's very hard. It's incredibly hard to just navigate through this, the state or country wherever you live, to just get some resources or get onto disability, or whatever it is. I feel like one thing that we have benefited from is that there have been some I don't know how they're not advocates, but they're like care specialists or something that like we have teamed up with certain people. And there are people that can point you in the right direction, at least in the United States. Like, we're able to access any resources from the country, additional care or money. Frankly, money helps also.
Well, here it's a little bit different. It's not the States. We are only a country of 10 million people. So you can
Okay.
imagine the volume. Yeah, there's no business for stroke. We have 10,000 strokes per year, but the population is made 90% of expat like me, that we come here
Mm-hmm.
to work.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the stroke come happen to the local people. They are only 10% of the population. So these guys also don't like to be involved, and also the government does much for the locals and not much for the expat.
Mm.
You basically you are left to your own afterwards, honestly.
Okay.
I was really
Okay.
lucky because I was allowed to go back to work, and I know a lot of stroke survivors here, and not they were not lucky like I was. They had to leave the
Right.
country because they could not support themselves anymore here. And the resources there are, but not many, like you can have in the States and Australia and Europe. You need to go and find yourself. That's where I started a lot of research. I got really close with my doctors, my therapists. They become actually my friend. So
Mm-hmm.
whenever I have a question, I ask them. And also, the
Yeah.
rest I start doing a lot of research everywhere. They become
Are there any
active.
areas? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
sorry. Sorry, I was saying that I become really active on the stroke organization online, but I got a lot of results, feedback from people mainly living in the States.
Is there anywhere from like a resource standpoint or information or website that you found most helpful?
There are a few, actually there are several. Research stroke support, you find ample number of this website.
Are there any misconceptions about recovery or life after stroke? Or
I think the biggest one is people that think, so when you are in your hospital bed, the thing say, I want to go back to what I was doing. I want to go back to again my physical ability. But first, you need to bring back your brain and your emotion. If you don't bring
mm-hmm.
back your brain and your emotion, your physical ability will never come back. Honestly,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can work, but if you're not here and here properly, you cannot go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You can work, but if you are straight with your brain and you know what you want, you are straight with your emotion, you will be able to recover also physically. If not, the opposite, it will never happen, honestly. You cannot recover physically without recovery mentally and emotionally at the same time, even before. But this is the biggest misconception also a lot of survivors. They believe they
It's
need to
interesting.
recover physically, and sometimes they put
And
away
then,
the mental, the emotional, even the hospital as well, honestly. Level
mm-hmm.
therapists as well, they always focus your therapy, your physical therapy, your speech therapy, but you
Mm-hmm.
forget that until you are not part of your community, you are not with your people who love you, are not well with your emotion, you will never recover.
Yeah.
You cannot enjoy life afterwards.
Do you meditate? Has that been a part of the recovery, or do you go to a therapist, if I may ask? Like, is this part of like the recovery process for you?
So I did therapy a lot at the beginning. At certain point, I felt that it was okay. I could continue on my own. I do a lot of meditation myself along the day. Sometimes I just take 5 minutes. My brain completely goes off. And I
Mm-hmm.
start thinking whatever is going around me. My
Mm-hmm.
stroke, what I can do, what I'm going, my research, what's going to be next step in the advocacy. So yes, basically I meditate every day. What I do as well, and one key point for me meditation is write down things. I cannot write, so I type. So what I do, like at work, my computer password is like a phrase that I use normally for meditation. I do myself. So
Mm-hmm.
every 3 months I need to change password for my laptop at work. So I type password probably 30 times per day. So the password probably is a sentence or a part of my sentence to
I
help me to
love it.
remind that I meditate myself.
When you're submitting to publications, like, is there something right now that you're particularly focused on conveying? Like, is there something like that you're like a message that you're really trying to get across?
The message is like we discussed so far that before I can recover physically or be together, I need to recover mentally and emotionally. Otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
we are not going anywhere. And plus, the life after stroke is important. like I say, doctors save life, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
100% I support the doctors. But after, we still need to support the people after a stroke, whichever that,
Mm-hmm.
whatever part of the world they are. We need to
Mm-hmm.
support people like us. We need to support stroke survivors. We need to support each other. We need to have society, government supporting us. We have to give a little bit more visibility to the stroke and the stroke survivors.
I agree. I agree. I agree, and I mean, I guess that's part of. You know, hey, I'm happy we're able to have this conversation because there is a platform through Idea Citizen, and hopefully people will listen and at least consider even. So say like let's say like Marco, like I had a stroke. I'm struggling with it. I'm doing the physical recovery at least in the hospital, and someone's like, oh, you should speak with Marco. He went through this. He's a little 2 years out of it. He may have some what would you tell me?
I will going to tell you that life is beautiful. You need to embrace yourself. You need to accept first things. You need to accept what happened to you. So after you're able to accept it, the stroke, what you have today with you can go on with your life.
Hmm.
But
That's a
first
good
you
point. Like, focus on this person you are today. Start from a place of reality and build from there, as opposed to a place of fantasy of who you were.
yes, because I think a lot of people they all speaks about I want to recover, whether you are in the recovery 50, 60, 90, 95, 98. I feel there is no, you can do better. You are a new person. You need
Hmm.
to accept you today. You have to accept what happened
I
to
love
you,
it.
and you need to move forward in your life. That's why I call it transcovery, when the recovery means transformation. That's what I call the state. I call it transcovery. I means when you are recovering,
Hmm.
you are not called recovery, you are transforming yourself. You are becoming something new. I mean,
Hmm.
have you accept yourself? When you accept your new self, you are looking for a new purpose in life, a new capability, new ability. And when you transform yourself, you are something, today you are something else. You will never be the same, honestly. You can't. Even if you speak about recovery, okay, I can walk, I walk, okay, but probably I've never been the same guy that I was before. And also, in fact, I want to launch a new campaign for the World Stroke Crisis called Me After.
Me after. Okay.
Whatever you say, whatever happened in your life, things will
Hmm.
always happen, unfortunately. You cannot control them. I can control how I react to them and also who I'm going to be after them. Let's say my campaign is called Me After. To just
Hmm.
say, okay, and the symbol is like a brain and heart together.
Hmm.
And it says, okay, what I'm going to do after my stroke, what I'm going
I
to do
love
with
it.
my life after my stroke, whatever has happened to you, whatever happened to you in your life.
I love that. So okay, well then I'm gonna pose it to you, Marco. What's me after for you? Like what's the plan? What do you have coming up for life?
What I see me after, I see someone keep advocating for the stroke, for people with determination, like me, people with disability in the workplace.
Mm-hmm.
I want to change the way the World Stroke Organization works because today will make you will probably laugh. One of the few organizations speaks about people with disability, and there's no people with disability at their head. They are all doctors, but don't have even a stroke as part of their like advisory. So and my work, and try to change the way this organization works. I
Yeah.
want to make the stroke survivors being part, at least as advisory to the post-stroke organization management.
Mm-hmm.
I try to push the way society look at the life after stroke. Try to give support to people like me in my same
Mm-hmm.
situation.
Yeah. Um, I can't imagine it's untrue. This is a truth to me. But to your point around going back to work, I'm sure a lot of people come to a situation where either they could be discriminated at work. I'm sure some jobs discourage it to some degree, or don't make it easy for a person, or don't make certain accommodations. Working looks different like that. I go back to my father's. I can't imagine if I can't imagine if he had a job that he actually had to really like use his hands on a regular day-to-day basis. There's no way he would have been able to do that. And like, in terms of him finding purpose and finding a job, like that's been challenging as well. And
I say I was really lucky because I was working in the office over me. There was no point to use hand. I could use only my left hand for what the work is to do. Because most of the work I'm with my brain.
Yeah.
So I was okay with that one. Yes, I agree with you. A lot of people cannot continue to work because they cannot physically do. Like I
Yeah.
cannot drive here. Yet we have
Mm.
no route for me to drive. So there
Interesting.
are a lot of
Why
good
is
things.
that?
They don't have routes yet to allow people with disability to drive. It's not the US, it's not Australia, it's not Europe. We don't have such rules yet. That's
Hmm.
something that I'm trying to work as well. And that's one of my long-term goals in this country, to change
So
those rules.
if I understand, so are you saying that it's illegal for you to drive, or
Because there is no rules for me to drive today with disability.
interesting? And does that count for anybody with a disability in the UAE?
There are few disability, but again, I told you, that's again depends between the local. I'm a spot, so I'm treated
Yeah.
different from local
Fair.
people. I mean, locals they are going to have drivers. I don't have drivers, so I get my friends to drive me. I take the bus to the taxi. That's how
Okay.
it works. But there is no rules for me to drive. There's no
Hmm.
rules, even for locals. If they want to drive, they cannot drive. There's
Interesting.
no rules.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, like it's different country to country and how that works. My dad, up until recently, he's been driving. He has had a car. He was able to drive, and he would only go short distances and everything. And he actually found it's challenging for us right now because, and it breaks my heart because he actually found a lot of purpose. So where he lives, there's a number of different people that are seniors, and he would drive people to their different appointments and everything. He was kind of like stroke Uber, and he found a lot of purpose in that and like helping people, and he built a community around it. And
I think you have to find your purpose in life. Probably you find found a good purpose for himself. What he felt valuable because I told you when I go back to work, first day I sat back to my old desk. I said, "What I'm going to do today? What I'm
Mhm.
going to add to this organization from moving forward?" That's why when you find purpose, you have to find whatever makes good to you. And because ideally your purpose is also give back to the society that is trying to help you.
Mhm.
One question. Was your father driving with the knob?
No.
You told me, so you only with one hand they allow him to drive without the knob?
Mhm.
Because in Australia, just to give you an example, in Australia, you're allowed to drive only with one hand, but you need to have the knob. You cannot drive only
Honestly,
with
I
one hand with the steering wheel.
will say I feel like we should have gotten him a knob. I didn't know that was a thing. I think it probably would have been a good idea. Do you cook? Like I think like there's challenges even with like for a stroke survivor, just in some cases like making their own dinner, or making breakfast and everything, like with the ability to like use a knife. And I would challenge anybody to try to live their life with one hand for one day because I don't think people understand it. They really don't.
Actually, I'm Italian, so I always love cook. Even I was a good cook for the level you can understand for two hand. When I get back only with one hand, I start cooking only with one hand. Yes, I agree. I mean, that thing is always the worst thing that you can have. Because everything's
Right.
fall away. There are tools you can
Exactly.
buy, there are tools that you can buy, but these gadgets are still quite expensive as well. They're not accessible.
Yeah.
Also, you need to find them. Maybe in
Yeah.
the States you will find them. In this part of the world, I cannot find them. So I have to adapt myself. I say I have to put things, I create a board for myself where I can cut and
Hmm.
I can stick things in the middle of something so I can hold things and cut them. What I was
This
thinking, I
makes me
want to
think of
tell
like
you
I mean,
something.
there's a joke in the United States about a woman tax, and the kind of the logic is like feminine hygiene products or something. Just ultimately products like made for women tend to sometimes be more expensive. Shorthand, we can call it a disability tax. But to your point, you're like there are tools, they're expensive, but they are out there and available. But it's the reality of what after living with a stroke looks like afterwards that I think that goes unconsidered.
Not experiencing left-handed, actually I have more problem than right-handed. Like uh, try to get the scissor with your left hand and try to cut with the scissor only with the left hand. Will not be
Hmm.
able to cut only with the left hand.
Right,
Only if
right.
you have already twins, let's say, another example, you take a mug, I don't have a mug now with me. But you will see whenever you take, you will see that the face, let's
Mm-hmm.
say, is
Mm-hmm.
always on the right side. So
Mm-hmm.
they give you a mug, a nice mug. If you wave with the left hand, nobody will see what it's written because you see the sign with yourself. That was
Yeah.
meant for right-handed.
Right. 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 I think in homes and in other professional settings, depending on like how old certain like doorknobs, just the doorknob, like be able like the way they turn. If they're it's a ball versus a I don't know what the other thing is called, like a bar, like it's more challenging to actually just open a door. I mean, it's hard enough sometimes when you don't have a disability, just like getting in somewhere and it's like the door doesn't give you the right cue if you're supposed to push or pull. But then like add on top of that, these knobs are not really meant for people with any sort of disabilities.
Also, I felt like I like when I can push the door because when I have to pull the door, I have no space. Right? So because I can move probably with the right leg, so I have difficulties when I move in a small space. So
Mm-hmm.
when I pull the door to me, I have no space to move, either the door or
Yeah.
myself in the
Yeah.
space. So I like when you have to pull.
Mm-hmm.
Other things is to drive. I hope Tesla, Elon Musk will come and create not the Cybertruck, he could create the cars for these people with disability to drive to help us.
Teslas are wonderful, great. You know, we go back to the disability tax. Are Teslas just generally that, you know, e-technology of a vehicle, or it is more expensive? Let's go. So there's a income gap or a finances gap that like ultimately you have to a hurdle you have to jump. And then also beyond that too, then there's also a technology gap. So depending on what generation that you're in, like you are an engineer, like you know technology. I go back to my father and we've had him on a phone that doesn't have the internet because it's just not something that kind of is in his world. Like my dad's experience and relationship with technology is non-existent for lack of a better phrase. So it's like I love, you know, so I feel like there currently are vehicles that are friendly for people with disabilities, but income comes into play, technology awareness and technology just familiarity comes into play. So if you have, I mean, but isn't this with a lot of things? If you have the money, a lot of things get solved. It's very helpful. But then B, if you have the, you know, just the knowledge.
I read somewhere there are some services in some states of the US, honestly, I don't remember where there are actually they come to drive you, especially for stroke survivors. And I think some of them actually drivers are the stroke survivor as well. I don't know, I
Really,
read it somewhere in some states in the US, I don't remember where, honestly. But I
I
read
will go.
somewhere in the
I
states. There were some resources as well for stroke survivors to move. Because like I say, I cannot drive, but someone else cannot drive. Someone is in a wheelchair, so we cannot drive even if they wanted.
hmm
So there are resources as well where people get back to what your father was doing. They come, collect, they bring to the point, they come back, they bring them to recreational activities as well with other survivors. Okay, you need to bring the community together. That's fundamental because okay, if you are lucky, you have your community with you. If you are not, you have to find your own community. And normally, as a stroke survivor, you want to be with other stroke survivors because they understand you. But they go through the same circle you are going through.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Margaret, I know it's getting late on you, like where you are right now. So I guess any final thoughts or anything that you wanna that you'd like to convey or share or discuss?
I would say, actually, the point is like we discussed before, we need to bring the awareness to stroke. We need to make people aware when they have symptoms so they can prevent, because as I say, 90% of the stroke are preventable. Can
Mm-hmm.
be high blood pressure, it can be only the lifestyle, it can be the environment, whatever the is, so we can. So that's we have to push people to recognize so they can actually try to avoid it. Because I say one out of four will have a stroke in their life. It's so
Mm-hmm.
much. If you think the numbers are among the
That number
numbers.
blows my mind. That number blows my mind. I never considered it
And
was that many.
So you can also understand the economical impact on their life, the people around them, and the community itself.
Hmm.
So we have to bring second, we have to bring awareness the people, the life to support the people after they have the stroke, because the life continues. Like I tell to every stroke survivor, the life is beautiful. You need to find purpose, like Coach your father found, and find something, the
Hmm.
new way to go and enjoy life.
Hmm. Yeah, it looks different, but it doesn't take away from it. It's just you have to adjust. It's
Yeah, you have just
you can't,
what
and
you have.
it's
I
just like
mean,
you. Yeah, you have to live in reality. It's like this is the new reality. What does that look like, and move forward.
you need to accept life and move on. Like I can tell you another sample. I grew up always writing. I always want to write a book in my life in Italian.
Yeah.
But I never know. I always think, okay, what about I'm going to write? I never like fantasy. I like always fiction. Until I
Hmm.
got the stroke. So when I got the stroke, I wrote a book
Okay.
about
What's the
my
book?
stroke. It's
Yes.
called
Yes. Yes.
Miracle in the Desert. It's about my story, it's my life.
Yeah.
Because the names come from my girlfriend because like I told you, the day I was saved in the desert. So that's why she called my book Miracle in the Desert. Because I'm miracle in the desert because I survived that day.
Yeah. I love it. I mean, really, like the day I was like it that speaks to me. I love it. I love it from like just a perspective of the world. Like the day I love it. Yeah. You've done a lot with just a challenging situation. The day you were saved, and I think thank you for reaching out and submitting your name. Do you want to encourage anybody to go follow you somewhere to learn more about stroke advocacy or awareness? Like, is there anything that you would?
Yes, the people can follow me in LinkedIn, Marco Giovannoli, and also in Facebook. I'm called Marco Gio. Like a little bit of privacy where it's possible. So you can find Marco Gio by LinkedIn. You can find me by name, Marco Giovannoli, because it was my professional profile. After now, I've become more to look at the advocacy.
Yeah. Well, Marco, thank you so much for. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring. Join the Idea Citizen LinkedIn group and share this episode with a friend.